Hi everyone, so this is a quick tutorial of how to use dynamic lighting, how to set up dynamic lighting for your games, and I'm going to show you just the basics to get you a jump start on your way to setting up dynamic lighting on your maps. So let's get right into it. The first thing you're going to want to do is on your map page go into the dynamic lighting layer and select the Polygon Tool. And I like the small lines. I can get a good amount of detail without them being so fine that they're difficult to work with. And I always set my walls to red, but you can choose any kind of color coding you would like. And you're simply just going to start on the edge and start drawing. And I use a lot of fast clicking motion as I'm kind of just tracing the area that I want my lighting to end at. And with a little bit of practice, you'll find yourself getting fairly quick at this. And on a rough cave setting like this, you don't have to be extremely accurate with the lines. As a matter of fact, a little bit more, you know, kind of moving back and forth is going to give it that cave type look. Now down here, I'm going to stop anytime I have an area like this, and I'll show you why over here. So let me put my walls in here. And I'm just going to do a section to show you how to do wall openings for doorways and such. And what you're going to want to do after you get all your walls in, you're going to want to skip any door openings that you may have on your map to add those in later. And the reason is you're going to be removing those during the game, and you don't want to remove your entire wall. I also like to stop occasionally with my lines. That way, if I do make a mistake and accidentally pop a line off to the side, I can delete that section and start over without having to, delete every single piece of wall that I've done and start over the whole process. So now for my door openings, I'm going to use a different color. I like to use yellow, and I'm simply just going to draw my dynamic lighting right through that area, and it doesn't have to be perfect. All I'm doing is blocking this wall, but I'm making a segment that during game, when I want it to open, I can simply just drag that dynamic lighting off and out of the way. And I'm going to show you another map. So this is more of a dungeon style map, and it follows the same idea. But on this map, all of my wall lines are pretty much centered on the grid, so I can actually just use the grid as a guide. And zooming in on your map is also really useful. So if you notice, I'm just going to the corner of 4 squares until, of course, I get to like a rounded area. And I don't recommend using the shape tool. I have heard that there have been some issues with it not creating the dynamic lighting effects properly. I don't know if that's something that's been fixed or not, but and maybe something worth looking into before you decide to go that route. But again, I just like using the Polygon tool. It's easy enough to do, and with a little bit of practice you get pretty fast at it. As you can see, I've mapped out a pretty decent area of dungeon rather quickly. And I'm actually just going to go ahead and stop this here instead of mapping the whole thing so that I can get down to the nitty-gritty of showing you the doors. You're going to want to make sure and overlap corners is better. That way you don't mistakenly have little gaps in your lighting. I've seen that when I first started out. I made that mistake quite a bit. And so there you have it. Your dynamic lighting is all set up. And the next thing you're going to want to do is go into your page settings and turn it on. So to do that, open up your page settings, scroll down, enable the dynamic lighting, enable force line of sight, force line of sight, so that tokens can't see through the walls. And you're gonna, I like to restrict movement. It kind of makes sense. They can't walk through the walls, so you can set that up so that they can also not move through the dynamic lighting lines. And then only update on drop is a good option to have if you have players or yourself that experiences lag while playing Roll20 with dynamic lighting. This will actually help to reduce that a lot. So I recommend if you or any of your players have any kind of performance issues with their computer, that you turn on only update on drop. And now our map, as you can see, kind of goes dark because our dynamic lighting is all set up. So the last thing to do is to set up our character tokens. And you're going to have to do this with all your player tokens, but it's pretty simple. So you simply just open up the token, double click it to open up the option to edit it, and in the advanced section is where your dynamic lighting is. So one thing you're going to want to do is give the token sight. Now also you can set up if the token has like dark vision, let's say 60-foot dark vision, I would want to put 60 foot. But dark vision, seeing it's dim light, so you have the option here of how far can they see and where does the shadow begin. So for dark vision, it's recommended to start at like -5 so that every bit of their sight is dim. And I'll show you the differences in these. So now to test my dynamic lighting and my token, I can click on the token and press CTRL L, and that will allow me to see what the token sees. So, and I notice that I did not add my walls, gotten a little bit over, or my doors, gotten a little bit of a hurry here. So I'll just go ahead and pop those in real quick. And after you draw each line, I don't know if you're noticing this step, but after I'm done drawing a line, I always use select move to complete the action. If you start to draw and then you decide you want to draw over here, it's actually going to connect it. So that's why I always press this and then go back to the Polygon Tool to restart the action, restart a new line. So now with my doors in place, and we have the token here with dark vision, you'll see everything, all the sight's blocked. Their movement is also blocked. And again, that's control, you click on the token, control L to view how the token sees things. So as GM, all you have to do during your game, they go up to a door, and they say, I'm going to open this door. You simply jump into your dynamic lighting layer, drag the door lighting away, and voila, your token can now see into the next room. Now, one last final step that's extremely important, and most GMs forget this, and it's a complete hassle to have to go back and redo a token every time. You're going to want to go to the character sheet of the token and make sure that you set that token as the token for that character. If there's already one there, remove it. That one didn't have dynamic lighting set up, so I'm going to put the new one. So that now, every single map that I go to, I can simply just click and drag the character right onto the map. And the dynamic lighting is already set up for. So, a couple other cool effects just real quick. Not to get into anything too advanced, but you can do some fun things with dynamic lighting on the tokens, as far as, let's say I want to give this token a torch, which puts off 40 foot of light. Half of that is shadowy illumination, so we're going to have 20 foot of light and then 20 foot of shadowy illumination after that. And all players will see this. So I'm going to turn on the All Players See Light button, and now the token has a torch that provides light for everybody in the group. So there you have it. I hope that this was helpful and informative. Try to plow through this as quickly as possible so that you can get right to work on your maps. Have fun.